Story 1. I've been working at this marketing firm for about 3 years now, and for the most part, my colleagues are great, except for Diane. Diane sits 3 cubicles down from me and has worked here for 15 years. She constantly reminds everyone of her seniority and acts like it entitles her to special treatment. But what's been driving me absolutely up the wall lately is her bizarre obsession with office supplies. Last Tuesday, I needed a stapler for an important client presentation. Mine had mysteriously disappeared from my desk the week before, already suspicious, so I walked over to the supply cabinet. Empty. Not a single stapler in sight, even though we had just received a supply delivery the previous day. I asked around, and Madison from the accounting department mentioned she had seen Diane carrying a box to her car during lunch. Curious, I casually strolled by Diane's cubicle later that afternoon, and what I saw stopped me in my tracks. Behind her desk, partially hidden by a filing cabinet, was a mountain of office supplies. I'm talking at least 6 staplers, dozens of notebooks, countless pens, and even 3 of the new wireless mice that the information technology department had been saying were back-ordered when I requested one last month. The next morning, I discreetly mentioned to our office manager, Jen, that I couldn't find any staplers. She sighed deeply and said, "Let me guess, you need other supplies too?" When I nodded, she lowered her voice and said, "This happens every quarter. Diane takes everything and claims she needs backups for her important projects. I've ordered replacements, but they won't arrive until next week." Yesterday, things finally came to a head. I was printing materials for a client meeting when the printer displayed toner low. I went to grab a replacement cartridge, but of course there were none. My meeting was in 30 minutes. Desperate, I walked to Diane's cubicle and politely asked if she might have an extra toner cartridge. She looked at me like I had asked for her firstborn child. "Why would I have printer toner at my desk? That's ridiculous," she snapped. Just then, her phone rang. As she turned to answer it, her chair bumped into a tote bag under her desk, and I clearly saw 3 toner cartridges inside. I was fuming but kept my cool. After her call, I simply said, "Diane, I can see the toner cartridges in your bag. The entire office needs supplies to do their jobs, not just you." Her face turned bright red. "I've been here for 15 years. I need these supplies for my special projects. You newcomers don't understand how things work here." By this point, several colleagues had stopped to watch the commotion. Jen from office management appeared, took one look at Diane's hoard, and said firmly, "Diane, we've talked about this. Please return the supplies to the cabinet immediately." Diane huffed dramatically, muttering about ungrateful coworkers and no respect for seniority as she reluctantly handed over 1 toner cartridge. Later that afternoon, an email went out from the Human Resources Department about a new supply checkout system being implemented, effective immediately. I also noticed the janitor installing a lock on the supply cabinet. The best part? This morning, I arrived to find Diane's cubicle completely empty, with a small note from our manager saying she would be working from home indefinitely. The supply cabinet is now fully stocked, and mysteriously, everyone's missing items have reappeared. Some people's sense of entitlement truly knows no bounds. Story 2. I used to work at a call center for one of the biggest teleproviders in our country. Mobile subscriptions, internet, landlines, all that. The call center I worked at was also only for business clients, and not private customers, so it was not unusual for a client to have a lot of mobile subscriptions. One thing to note, I am not sure how changing mobile providers in other countries works, but in my country you have to get the other company you want to transfer to order the numbers from where you are now to them. You cannot cancel your subscription and then have it transferred. If you cancel your subscription, it stops working right away. If you want to transfer after that, then you need to order a reopening of the subscription on that phone number for it to be able to transfer to the other teleprovider, and the reopening is treated as a new order and a new subscription. So it's an ordeal to go through. Also, And this is important for the story. If you have a debt collection case for an invoice with the teleprovider you are currently at, you will then no longer be able to get new subscriptions with that company until the debt collection is paid in full. Now on to my story. I got a call from a customer who had maybe 10-15 mobile subscriptions with us as well as an internet subscription, and apparently they worked with sales. The customer was very angry on the phone. He tells me that they have received a debt collection case from us for an invoice they had not paid, which was true. There was an invoice in our systems that they had not paid, and it had indeed gone to debt collection. He then told me that he knew about the invoice, but had just not bothered to pay it. What did you expect to happen if you didn't pay it? He then proceeded to berate me for sending them a debt collection, and demanded that we cancel it immediately. One other thing to note is that none of the people that worked on the floor of the call center have the authority to cancel debt collection cases. We need to send a case to another department for that. He would not let me send a case, nor would he let me call a supervisor to maybe expedite things. He said that I should cancel it right away, or he would cancel all of their subscriptions right this second. QMC. Normally when people threaten to cancel their subscriptions because of reasons, they mean they want to transfer to another provider, and I usually refer them to contact that other provider so they can start the process. This time, however, since the customer was being a jerk, I did not do that. I asked point blank, "Do you want to cancel your subscriptions with us immediately?" "Yes." "Are you sure?" I said yes. "Okay, then I will cancel all your subscriptions right this second." "Good, you jerk." Then he hung up. I logged the call with every detail that he had said and asked me to, and added an extra line of, "If any doubts, just listen to the recording of the call." I got at it and went ahead and canceled all of the subscriptions this client had with us. All of them, even their internet subscription. After about an hour, one of my coworkers got a very angry call from the client, who was forced to call from another phone, because guess what? Their subscription was canceled. I was done for the day, so I just went home, but my coworker filled me in the next day. The client had yelled and screamed that they were no longer able to call out or receive calls, as well as their internet was down. He had read the log I created and informed the client that they had terminated our services, so of course they would not receive any calls, nor make them. They demanded that we open up the subscriptions again, so that they could do their work. But again, my coworker had to inform them that it would not be possible since they had a debt collection case that needed to be paid first, or else none of the orders they put in would go through. After more screaming and profanities, my coworker had to end the call. The next day I had the evening shift, but I had saved the client's information to see if anything else had happened. Apparently the debt collection got paid, and the subscriptions reopened. They also had ordered a transfer to another provider. I have no idea how much money was lost, but for a sales team to not be able to work for over 24 hours, I can only guess that it was a lot. Also, as a cherry on top of things, they were in a contract period with us, which means that they get a small discount on their subscriptions if they are with us for a set period of time. If they break that contract, which they did when they told me to cancel their subscription as well as transferring to another provider afterwards, they had to pay a fee of over $300 per subscription. That was at least $4,500, on top of what they lost the 24 hours. They couldn't do anything. All because they didn't want to pay a $30 late fee. Story 3. This happened a few years ago before COVID-19. I'm a disabled Army veteran who also has PTSD. I am also hearing impaired and wear hearing aids. I decided to go to Wally World for a few items. I took my PTSD service dog with me. I didn't have my hearing aids as they had gone in for repairs, so I'm pretty deaf. It was hot in the store, so I took off my coat and put it on my rollator. I also have a cane with me, which I use to get items down from high shelves. Unfortunately, I was wearing my favorite shirt, a long-sleeved royal blue t-shirt with a neon green NSFW pic on it. Something a Wally World employee wouldn't wear. My hair was in a ponytail. I had taken off my disabled Army veteran cap because I was hot. So I'm going down the aisle slowly, obviously because I'm disabled, using my rollator, with my dog on my left side. I'm a high-functioning autistic with a bit of OCD, so I tend to straighten out shelves as I go. No big deal, right? Wrong. Now, I'm doing my thing. Pretty deaf without my hearing aids. I could read lips if you faced me, when all of a sudden, my dog turns around and starts pulling. Huh? Then someone behind me pulls on my ponytail hard and almost knocks me over. I react instinctively, haul back with a titanium-plated elbow to the person's gut, then swing up my hand with a karate fist to the person's face. No thought, just pure instinct. Then I grabbed my cane from the basket of my rollator, spun around, and got into a defensive position. I had also pushed the 911 alert button around my neck and yelled that I had been assaulted and location, etc., and 911 replied that cops were being dispatched. There she was, getting up from the floor with a bloody nose, a wild Karen. She screamed, "Help! I've been assaulted by an employee." I roared back at her in my drill sergeant voice. "What makes you think that I work here? I have a rollator and a service dog. I don't work here. You assaulted me." "Yes, you work here. I saw you straighten up the shelves," Karen insisted. "That doesn't mean that I work here," I yelled. "I have OCD and like to straighten up things." "Quit lying. You work here and you assaulted me. I'm going to get you fired and you're going to go to jail." My service dog is going crazy and barking. I'm very upset and crying, and my service dog is trying to calm me down. Store employees, the manager and security come, and shortly the police. We went to the store office. They put us in separate rooms. The police review the tapes, and one takes my statement. A nice female store employee is with me in the room because I'm crying and very upset. The security and police finish reviewing the camera footage and ask me if I want to press charges. I say, "Definitely yes." Karen gets upset by this, kicks the police, and resists arrest. I find out that this is not her first offense of harassing and assaulting customers or employees, so she will serve some long jail time. I get a $250 gift card from the store. My service dog gets several bags of treats from the store, and I get profuse apologies from the store manager. Story 4. Backstory. So I work at a certain, medium, theme park. Let's call it Chavland. I'm a supervisor covering a good workmate's little hot dog hut near the entrance. So I was on my break one morning, and Chavland had just hot full summer season, so the park was pretty busy. I'm eating my lunch like the unhealthy Brit I am, when I get a call through on my radio. Radio goes off. I hear someone say, "Come in." Who is this? It's me, X, your friend. I've hurt my leg, and the medics have told me to rest up. Staff have living quarters on site for full time. I just need your permission and to find someone to cover me. It's all right. Go take a few hours and radio me back when you're feeling better, bud, and don't worry, I have a few hours to spare. I'll cover till I need to go do other stuff. Thank you, you're the best. I'll buy you lunch tomorrow. So I put my radio back on my belt and trash my food to go to the hot dog hut. I arrive, unlock all the windows, and start serving customers again. I checked some stock and realized we were out of ketchup. Not usually a problem. I'll call in storage, and when they do their next delivery, it will come no problem, or so I thought. So here comes the entitled kid. He waddled up to me, just finishing an ice cream and a 20 pounds in his sticky hand. I roll my eyes, but hey, he was about 10. Kids be kids, and they can be messy. It's Chavland after all. So hear how the conversation goes. "I want a hot dog, jumbo now." I sighed and turned to go make this kid's food. "Hurry up, I'm hungry." "Patience, Padawan, and the food will be delivered," I say in a joking tone. It's a theme park, and we are told to make jokes, etc., etc. I'm not a freaking Padawan, just give me my food. I mutter to myself, "If you don't shut up, I'll turn you into a hot dog." So I finally got done microwaving the hot dogs and shoveling them in a bun. We served them plain, no cheese, onions, or any other thing. I handed him the hot dog, and he gave me the money, but just stood there and stared at me. Where's the ketchup? You forgot it. You didn't ask. You're unlucky though, we have run out of it, but I have mustard. No, I want ketchup now. Well, sorry, no can do, kiddo. We won't get some till later and I can't leave. But there's some just down the path to the other hot dog hut. For some reason the kid just started crying. I'm looking shocked as I haven't done anything wrong, and he just runs off. I didn't think anything of it till I saw a figure come running at the hut. I go to close the window as it might be someone trying to grab the till, as that's happened to me before, but no, it's the kid's dad. He grabs the window and goes, "You made my kid cry. You're gonna pay for this, jerk." I was so confused and shocked. What are you talking about? The dad proceeds to jump through the window and grab my knife. I instantly hit my panic button on the wall and radio as the dad approaches me, holding the knife to nearly my neck at this point. Give my son ketchup right now. Put down the knife, there's no ketchup left. I'm sorry, but I told him that. I don't care, that's your issue. I want some ketchup for my kid. I slowly start to back off and say I'll check the back and see if there's any as long as he stays there. As I go to the back, I hear a voice through the door whimpering to me. Are you there? You didn't answer your radio when we called in about the panic button. There's a dude with a knife threatening to stab me over ketchup. Next thing I know, the security guys come barging through the door with their pepper spray and just spray it at the dad, then wrestle him to the floor and get him in cuffs before the police arrive on the scene. The dad was arrested for assault and plotting to murder, which apparently he admitted to the cops that he was going to stab me in the throat, even if I managed to find some ketchup. I get the rest of the day and go see and check on my friend to make sure she is all right. She tells me she heard everything over the radio, but all I can do is sit there blandly and just kind of flop into my bed, knowing even working at Chavland could get me killed over ketchup. Story 5. So this one starts in 2019 when I'm in high school. So is my sister, who is 2 years below me. So it starts as a normal day, showing up to school as normal. I go to my first class. But when I got there, the vice principal was there and walked up to me and asked me where my sister was and if she was here today. As I thought, she must have gotten another award or something, so I told him she was at the library the last I saw her, and then he walked off. Later that day, I was called up to the office, which was very rare for me, so I made my way up there. When I got there, I was surprised that my par was up there too. Then the vice principal, the principal, and the student counselor were there too. At that moment, I started to get a bad feeling that I got in trouble again and started thinking, who did I hurt this time? But as we got in and sat down, they started asking questions about my sister, about what she does in her free time at school, where she goes at these times, and other questions, which I answered. Then the student counselor finally tells me that my sister had apparently assaulted a boy of her year and had been reported by the boy and his parents. I could not believe what I was hearing. After the meeting was finished, my sister was kicked out of school for a week. So I grabbed my stuff and headed to the car, where my sister was in the back, silent, not talking, which gave me a sign that something was not right. Once we got home, she went to her room and did not come out for the rest of the day. Par began to ask me questions on what she was doing at school. I told him I had no clue. So I went to my sister's room, opened the door slowly, and walked over to her bed. She was face down in the pillows. I sat down next to her and asked her to tell what happened, and told her I was not angry at her, and said no, you would never do something like this. I beg you to tell me what happened. After 10 minutes, she finally started to open up and told me what happened. She told me that there was this boy that had been following her and harassing her and had been telling her how she was beautiful and all that, and that he had been doing this for some time, and that he was getting more aggressive, and then started to tell the other boys and girls rumors about her, and said that my sister attacked him. Then the student counselor found out, and now she got in trouble over what he said. At this point, I was very mad, but I did not show her that I was angry at what this boy did to her. I just comforted her and calmed her down and told her it was not her fault. So for the whole week, I asked around school to see who this boy was. Sadly, no one wanted to tell me, so when my sister got back to school the very next week, I kept my eye on her. A week went by, and to nothing but one morning, I was walking to the back of the library to get to the block of classrooms. I turned around the corner to see my sister walking, and behind her was the entitled boy, following her. I stepped back and heard my sister telling him to leave her alone, but the boy kept telling her that they were to be together, and all that nonsense. To this day, it makes me sick. Then I heard my sister yell at him to stop grabbing her and to let her go. He pulled her around the corner and walked right into me. He was a little surprised, but then I asked him what he was doing with her. He said that this was his girlfriend, and that she would not leave him alone. He did not know that I was her brother. Then I told him to let her go. He said that he was going to take her up to the office, as she was apparently trying to attack and force him again, and asked if I did not know that she got kicked out of school for a week, which I responded to with, "Yes, I did, as I was in the office with her." "Why were you there with her? Did she do something to you too?" "No, I was up there because she's my sister, you dumb jerk." At this point, he realized who I was and turned around to go the other way to the office, still pulling my sister, so I grabbed him and pulled his hand off her. He tried to hit me in response. Yeah, he hit me and gave me a black eye. In response to that, I grabbed him by his left shoulder and repeatedly punched him in the face. My sister stopped me from hurting him too badly, but I dragged him up and into the principal's office, and made him tell the truth on what he had done to my sister. But my sister came in, saying she had recorded what happened and showed the principal. After some time and some talking, the principal apologized to my sister about punishing her. In court, he was charged for harassment and for physical harm, as there was some red marks on her arm from him. And he got sentenced to 3 years in youth detention center, and his family were not allowed to go near me or my sister. And as for the school, they were paying for my sister time off school and needed to go over their school punishment system and look into other reports. And sadly for me, I got detention, but the teacher who had me for detention was my woodwork teacher, and since we were friends, he let my friends see me, and my sister would show up every lunch to talk to me and keep me company. It's now 2021 and all that is in the past, and no one ever tries to hurt or harass my sister, as they were scared of what I would do to them. Story 6. I, a 30-year-old woman, am a single mother to a mixed-race 3-year-old daughter. I'm white, but my daughter's father is a New Zealand Maori, one of the indigenous people of New Zealand. I have a close friend from college, whom I'll call Kate. Kate is a genuinely kind and cool person, but her stepmother Pam and her stepbrother Kyle are toxic and entitled individuals. Pam is unemployed. She used to work at a fulfillment warehouse, but now lives on disability support. Kate's father, whom I'll call Kenny, works as a truck driver. Kyle is also unemployed. From what I understand, he has never been able to keep a job for long. While Kate and her family are originally from West Virginia, they moved to Pennsylvania some time ago. In July of last year, I hosted an engagement party for Kate and her fiancé Jack at my family's vacation home in the Catskill Mountains. The couple had planned to marry in December of the same year. Up until that point, I didn't have any real contact with Kate's stepmother or stepbrother. I didn't know them personally, but apparently they had been following me, my family, and our mutual friends on social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook. According to Kate, Pam was envious of the pictures and updates we shared, photos from our travels, dinners out, parties, networking events, and family boating trips. For this reason, Pam insisted that she and her son be invited to the engagement party so they could socialize with our circle, including my family, friends, and colleagues from the museum and university. Since Pam and Kyle didn't have much of a social life or friends of their own, Kate and I reluctantly agreed to let them attend. We didn't want them bothering Kate about it afterward. For more context on Kyle, Kate explained that Pam had coddled him from a young age. He was homeschooled during part of his grade school years because Pam didn't like how the school disciplined him for bullying and other disruptive behavior. When the school raised concerns about Kyle possibly having mental health challenges and displaying problematic beliefs, Pam got angry and pulled him out. She refused to let Kate's father discipline Kyle for anything, but had no problem disciplining Kate for minor issues. As a result, Kyle grew up believing he was entitled to everything without facing any real consequences. He lacks friends, social skills, and respect for personal boundaries. At the party, as I mentioned in a prior post, Kyle and Pam clearly seemed out of place. Pam kept trying to talk Kyle up to my female friends, while Kyle appeared awkward and uncomfortable, struggling to maintain any real conversation with other guests. Later that evening, Kyle began flirting with me. I initially tried to be polite, keeping my answers short and non-encouraging. But then, Kyle referred to my daughter as a half-breed, suggesting that I should get rid of her so I could be with him. I was so disgusted and angry that I snapped. I shouted at both Kyle and his mother, telling them to get out of my family's home. Pam reacted with outrage, accusing me of disrespecting her son, something I don't deny. She demanded that I apologize, began yelling at my guests, and caused quite a scene. Other guests joined in, calling out Pam and Kyle for their behavior. I, in turn, called them out for their racist and offensive attitudes. They eventually left after realizing they had no support, especially as one of my friends, Rachel, had already called the sheriff's office. After that, Pam and Kyle began sending angry messages to both me and Kate. They said they felt humiliated and accused my guests, most of whom are my colleagues from the museum and university, of being elitist, claiming we thought we were too good for them. Pam demanded that I apologize to them and insisted I go on a date with Kyle to give him a chance, among other unreasonable requests. I ended up blocking Pam but forgot to block Kyle. Fast forward to late March, and immigration enforcement agents unexpectedly showed up at our family's home in the Upper East Side. Pam and Kyle had falsely reported my daughter as an undocumented immigrant, even though she is a U.S. citizen born in Boston, and I am her legal mother. I immediately contacted my grandfather's law firm, which sent over 2 attorneys. They dealt with the agents while I provided documentation confirming my daughter's citizenship. Kate later told me that Pam and Kyle made the false report because they didn't want a non-white person in their extended family. Pam had wanted me to end up with Kyle and thought that if my daughter were out of the picture, I might actually agree to be with him. Instead, my family and I decided to take legal action. Our attorneys filed a complaint with the Office of the Inspector General, reporting Pam and Kyle for submitting a false claim to immigration authorities. From what I've learned, filing a false report to a federal agency like Immigration and Customs Enforcement is a federal offense under Title 18, Section 1001 of the United States Code. Whether the Department of Homeland Security chooses to pursue an investigation is up to them. If they do, that investigation would be separate from the civil case our family is filing against Pam and Kyle. Kate and Jack had initially planned to completely cut contact with Pam and Kyle, but that proved difficult. Kate and her father were trying to rebuild their relationship. Kenny was often away on long hauls and, even when home, didn't want to get involved in what he called family drama. He told Kate to do whatever Pam asked in order to keep peace in the household. This strained Kate's relationship with her dad for years, but he's now trying to make amends and is attempting to set boundaries with Pam. Still, Kate can't cut contact with Pam and Kyle without also cutting contact with her father. I understood Kate's situation and respected her decision to maintain only limited contact with them. Kate also promised never to mention me to Pam or Kyle and to keep me informed of anything suspicious they might do. A few days after the visit from immigration officials, Kyle contacted me again from a different phone number. He was furious that my daughter hadn't been deported. He demanded that I put her up for adoption or send her to her biological father, my ex, repeating that they didn't want a mixed child in their family. He said he wanted her out of the way before he and I could be together. I was exhausted and didn't want to deal with him. I told Kyle that any further communication between him, his mother, and me would have to go through our legal team, then hung up. After I hung up on Kyle, I forwarded the call recording and phone number to our attorney. Our legal team added it to the case file, noting it as evidence of ongoing harassment and racist targeting. Then in late April, We received notice that our civil suit had been approved to proceed. Our family is suing Pam and Kyle for harassment, defamation, emotional distress, and false reporting to federal authorities. We are also pursuing a restraining order. That's when the social media backlash began. Pam and Kyle started posting lengthy Facebook rants about me. They accused me of being manipulative, elitist, and a bad influence on Kate. They told their version of the story, one where I allegedly led Kyle on, only to reject him after using him for attention, and where I supposedly set them up to get sued. None of it was true, but the comment sections were filled with support from their own small circle, mostly other family members or fringe acquaintances. They called me names and even used offensive racial slurs to refer to my daughter. The worst part was seeing them share photos of me and my child that had been taken from my old public Instagram account before I locked it down. One of the posts even implied that my daughter wouldn't have to suffer if I just made better decisions about who I dated. That crossed a line. We reported that post and others like it for harassment, and our legal team sent cease and desist letters to both Pam and Kyle, as well as formal takedown notices to Facebook and Instagram. Most of the offending posts were removed, but not before they'd been screenshotted and shared in a few private groups. It's heartbreaking and surreal to be targeted like this, especially over something as innocent as my child's race. I never imagined that choosing to raise my daughter with love and dignity would lead to someone weaponizing the system against us. As for Kate, she's been nothing but supportive. She and Jack are still planning to move forward with their wedding, but they've decided to delay it until this whole ordeal is behind us. Kate also told her father that unless Pam and Kyle are completely cut out of the picture, she won't be visiting their home anymore. That caused a huge argument between Kate and her dad, but for once, he sided with his daughter. He told Pam that Kyle is no longer welcome in their home and that she needs to respect boundaries or face consequences. From what I hear, Pam is furious. She's blaming me for turning the family against each other and is threatening to countersue. Our attorneys aren't worried. They say her threats hold no legal merit, and we have ample evidence to back our claims. Through it all, I've done my best to protect my daughter from the drama. She's too young to understand most of it, but she's picked up on the stress. I've increased her time with her therapist, who is helping us both manage the emotional toll. My hope is that justice will prevail. I want Pam and Kyle held accountable not just for me, but for every other family they might target in the future with their hateful views and toxic behavior. And while I didn't plan for any of this to happen, I'm not backing down. I will never apologize for defending my daughter, for calling out racism when I see it, or for refusing to entertain someone who believes love should have conditions based on skin color. This situation has been exhausting, heartbreaking, and infuriating, but I'm not alone. I have my family, my daughter, my friends like Kate, and a strong legal team standing beside me. And that makes all the difference.